Hello everybody, I'm Scott Favor with Virginia Mobile Air Conditioning Systems, also known as VMACS. Today we're going to talk about the Webasto Air Top EVO 40 12 volt gasoline air heater kit. The EVO 40 is a 4 kilowatt rated heater, and today we're specifically going to talk about this kit, which is the North American part number 5013759A. So anytime you order that part number from your North American Webasto dealer, you're going to get this kit, and we're going to pop this thing open and take a look at the contents. Normally I would do it with the box right here on the bench, but this box is really big. These EVO 40 kits are pretty good size. So I'm going to sit the box on the floor, and we're going to pull the parts out and take a look at it one at a time. So here we go. All right. First item we're going to take out of the box is our installation packet. So in the installation packet, we've got our mounting template for the heater. Mounting template's identical to the Air Top 2000 mounting template. There's actually two templates on this sheet of paper. You've got the template for using the mounting plate, which uses the 3/4 inch or 1 inch, it's about an inch thick, foam seal that goes against the floor, then the plate, and then the heater bolts to the plate. You use this plate and this template if you have any irregular mounting surfaces in your vehicle you're trying to mount to. That 3/4 1 inch foam gasket will take up those irregularities and give you a good seal against the floor. The other side has the individual hole pattern. If you have a nice smooth mounting surface you're working with, you can drill these individual holes and mount your heater directly to the surface that way, where the oval gasket on the bottom of the heater would provide the seal to the surface in that case. This mounting template, or this mounting method, does provide you a smaller footprint, whereas if you use the mounting plate you're going to get a larger footprint. It's kind of preferential to use the mounting plate because the seal it's just better to use that to take up any irregularities in your surface and make sure all that exhaust gas stays outside. Next item in our packet is our operating instructions. So a few pages in here on how to operate the heater. It's the same operation for all of Webasto's air heaters. On the last page here you have a list of the fault codes that you may encounter at one time or another with your heater, so that you can decode those blinks on your rheostat if you have a rheostat, or refer to it for just general purposes. There's also your warranty statement from Webasto back here outlining your warranty. Our next item in there is our installation instructions. It's a very thorough packet. We've got diagrams, tips, and tricks on all the different aspects of the heater, your cautions and warnings, diagrams for everything from your fuel system mounting to how to run your air lines, mounting your controls. In the rear here we've got electrical schematics on the unit. This manual is 47 pages, but the last couple pages are blank. So comprehensive instruction manual. Next item we're going to pull out here, we're going to pull our heater out. So the EVO 40, as I mentioned, this is a 4 kilowatt heater. Those of you that are familiar with the more popular Air Top 2000, the Air Top 2000 is a 2 kilowatt heater. So along with this being a heater of larger capacity, that also means the heater is physically larger. We're doing double the heat. It's not quite double the size, but it is considerably larger than the Air Top 2000. So many of you may have heard me say that I described the Air Top 2000 as about the size of a shoebox. That won't quite work with the EVO 40 because it's a bit bigger than that. So this is our EVO 40. You can get a pretty good idea of the size here. I'm gonna set an Air Top 2000 next to it. So here's our EVO 40. Here's our Air Top 2000. So many of you folks that are working with camper vans, Sprinters and Promasters would mount the Air Top 2000 under the passenger seat. Probably not going to get the EVO 40 to fit under there simply because of the physical size of the heater. Other than that, they're very similar in appearance. There are some differences. We're going to talk about that now. The EVO 40, just like the Air Top 2000, you've got your air inlet for your heated air. Your air outlet, your direction of flow, is on the top. So when you're installing, make sure you pay attention to your direction of flow for your cabin air and get that air moving the way that you want it to. On the top of the heater, you've got the similar duct door, which, not duct door, I'm sorry, access cover for your connections in here. The EVO 40, the connections are here in the top. You can see the connector housing, get it close, it's kind of horizontal right here in the top, whereas the Air Top 2000 plugs straight in. So you can pop this cover off, plug your main electrical connector in there, put the cover back on, and you're good to go. Same as the other heaters, you can flip the cover either direction so that the harness fits through your oval shaped hole and you get a good seal with your gasket that's on the wiring harness. The EVO 40 uses 90mm ducting, whereas the Air Top 2000 uses 60mm, so they're not interchangeable. Let me give you you can get an idea of the difference in the size here. So there's 60mm and 90mm. The ducting's not interchangeable, so make sure you're looking at 90mm ducting accessories when you're looking to get some additional options for the airflow in your cabin when you're working with the EVO 40. Should also mention that the EVO 55, you'll often see this advertised as EVO 40, EVO 55. It's the same physical heater, the programming is different, so they do some things with the fuel and the airflow through here to give you a higher capacity, but it's physically the same heater, different programming to give you a better high output with the EVO 55. So EVO 55 is the same heater. All right, so we covered the top, and on the side of the heater we've got your data plate. It's got your serial number and all that good stuff on it. So when you're installing the heater, try and put it in a location where this data tag is visible. That way the servicing technician can get the serial number if he's required to do so. On the bottom of the heater, we've got your 4 mounting studs. These are going to go through your mounting surface and attach the heater with the nuts that are supplied in the kit. We've got your fuel pump harness. This is going to connect to either directly to your fuel pump or the jumper wire or extension harness for your fuel plug. There's no housing on here now. The housing is in the kit. So when you get ready to install this, you'll install the connector housing to plug this into your fuel pump or your jumper harness. We've got your combustion air intake port, your combustion air exhaust port. The EVO 40 uses 24mm combustion exhaust tubing, uses 25mm combustion air intake tubing. So 24mm exhaust, 25mm intake. The exhaust tubing, if you needed additional, needed a replacement part, that exhaust tubing, the number's 5091523. If for some reason you need a replacement, the intake is a 5000523. So those are both 1 meter pieces if you needed to get a replacement part for some reason. Then we also have your fuel inlet right here. Your fuel pump's going to pump fuel right here into your fuel inlet on the heater, similar to the Air Top 2000. So that's the heater. Very similar to the smaller heaters. Operation is pretty much the same. Cooler cabin air in one end, heats the air across the combustion chamber in here and blows your heated air out the other end. So let's set this guy back here. Next item we're going to do, we're going to pull out our bag of mounting accessories. So in this bag we've got our steel mounting plate. We've got that foam gasket I was talking about. It's about 3/4 of an inch thick right here. And we've got our oval shaped rubber gasket that goes directly to the bottom of the heater. So that steel mounting plate, it's a nice mounting plate. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick. It's pretty hard. It's not flimsy. It's a real nice plate. Give you a good stiff surface to mount to. And your foam gasket. The steel mounting plate and the gasket, these are actually the same parts that are used with the Air Top 2000. So these are common. The steel mounting plate, if you needed one of these for some reason, the part number is 900700. You can order that as a part all by itself. And the mounting plate gasket is a part number 902001. Anytime you remove the heater, you should always replace this gasket because it's going to get crushed, and over time it's going to get hard. The foam is going to lose its elasticity. So once you remove it, it's going to stay crushed, and if you reuse it, you won't get the best seal. So you should always replace this gasket as well as the oval shaped gasket that fits directly onto the bottom of the heater. If you ever remove these, always replace those gaskets. So there's our package of mounting components. They fit right to the bottom of the heater. I guess I should show you that. So here's our heater. You've got your oval shaped gasket which is again here in the bag. This will go directly to this oval shaped surface. You'll put that on here. You'll then install your mounting plate to the heater, put your wires through here, and your foam gasket. It's got pressure sensitive adhesive. Peel this guy off, stick it on there, and then you're gonna drill your bolt holes according to the template that we looked at earlier and mount this guy to the floor. That essentially makes all this outside the vehicle, keeps your exhaust, your combustion intake, and all your fuel connections on the outside. You never ever want that stuff inside the passenger compartment, ever. Not a good idea. All right, so next, let's go ahead and pull our main wiring harness out. This is our main wiring harness. So this EVO 40 kit includes a smart temperature controller. This kit does not have the standard rheostat, and because of that, the main wiring harness has the connections for the smart temp controller built into the main harness. Some of the heaters, when you install a smart temp controller, you would install an additional harness to run the smart temp. In the case of this kit and this EVO 40, the smart temperature control wiring is already made into the harness, so there's no additional harness. Everything is in this one. So on this harness, we've got your battery, power, and ground connections. There's actually 3 of them. That's because of the smart temp. So we got battery, power, and ground, 3 connections. We've got our weatherproof fuse holders, 2 of them, so you can install these inside the vehicle or outside the vehicle safely. Fuse is already installed. We got our connections that are going to go to our heater end. This is the one that goes inside the cover I showed you. You open up that cover, plug this into the ECU. Your little rubber gasket here that's going to seal inside the door. This opening, gasket's going to fit right in there. Diagnostic plug. So these guys are going to hang next to the heater unused. Then we're going to run up to the other end. And this guy is going to plug directly into your smart temp controller. So that's all there is to it. It looks kind of like a lot, but there's I think there's about 10 feet in each leg of this. 10 feet run out to your batteries and a 10-foot run up to your controller. So it's usually plenty to get you where you need to go. Next item we're going to take out is going to be our smart temp controller. So here's the box it comes in. Comes with some mounting screws, some operating instructions for the control itself. Smart temp control looks like this. Works real nice. It gives you the ability to pre-program run times if you like. You will have to set a time and a date regardless of what you do. So you set a time and a date on here, and you work this dial on the outside. This is how you set the temperature. You simply turn it one way to turn the temperature up, turn it the other way to turn the temperature down. There's a light on the top that says Webasto. This is actually your heater on-off button. So you can use your pre-programmed start times, or if you just want to turn the heater on, you push this button. The heater goes through its 2-minute cycle and it'll start up and run, and when you're ready to turn the heater off, you just push this button again. The heater will go through its 2-minute shutdown cycle and you get your instant on-off function. There's a button on the bottom here with the little square. This is your menu button. So there's multiple menus available on here. You can push the menu button, look at any fault codes that may be in there. This will display fault codes and a short description of the fault code rather than decoding blinks like you would have to do on the standard rheostat control. Makes it a little easier to kind of get you going on with, or get you in tune with what's happening if you have a problem, because you can just read what's on the screen. There's also a nice digital display and exact temperature, so you can set an exact temperature on here, whereas the rheostat controller, you're kind of just comfort area sort of thing. The Smart Temp also gives you the ability to have a ventilation mode. What the ventilation mode does is you can turn this on to ventilation and it will not, the heater will not make heat. It will only run the fan, so it just allows you to circulate some air through your vehicle. That's really nice because these heaters have a highly efficient fan in it. When I say efficient, I'm talking about electrical efficiency. They draw very little amps, so you can run them for a very long time without drawing much from your battery. So it's pretty good to circulate some air inside your van without for a long time without having the vehicle running and not having to worry about your battery condition. So Smart Temp, it's a real nice upgrade. Comes standard in this kit. So That's our main harness and our controller. Set these guys back here. Our next item, going to get onto our fuel system. So here's the fuel tank standpipe that comes with the kit. This is a universal medium duty standpipe. You can see the medium duty standpipe. What makes it medium duty is it's got a super tight bend here at the top. You're going to drill a hole in your tank, insert this into the tank, measure the tank depth, cut the tube to the correct depth following the instructions that are in here, and then insert this into the tank and plug your fuel line in here. Your fuel line will then go off to your filter and your pump and then to the heater. So universal standpipe gets you to your fuel supply. Our next bag, so we've got a big bag of components here. Here's our fuel pump right here. Our rubber fuel pump hanger right here. We've got a length of fuel line, kind of hard to get a good angle on the camera here. There's a roll of fuel line in here. And then there's also a big roll. You can see kind of see the convoluted loom. This is your extension harness for your fuel pump that will connect in between this wire on the heater and the fuel pump if you need it. If you can get your fuel pump close enough to the heater, you can plug this directly into the pump and not use this harness. So either way is fine, whatever you need. So that's what's in this bag: the fuel line, the fuel pump extension harness, your fuel pump itself, and your rubber hanger. The rubber fuel pump hanger is this guy. This is the newer style 100% rubber hanger. This pump hanger does a lot of good in eliminating the ticking noise that you hear a lot of people talking about. It makes the pump virtually silent if you mount it right. This is an easy upgrade if you have the older style metal pump. This is available separately, part number 9001441B. I think they're like 15-20 bucks. So buy one of these guys. You can put it on as an easy upgrade later on if you've already got one of those other hangers. Your fuel pump looks like this. We just showed you that in the bag right here. Just wanted to get you a little clearer view. So fuel pump looks like this. Here's the connector where your harness will plug in. The bag I'm going to show you next has got your rubber fuel line connectors and your filter in it. The way the Webasto system works is they use these rubber fuel lines. They come straight ones like these. They have a couple that are 90-degree bends in case you're working in a tight area. You simply use this as a coupler to connect your separate pieces. So you can see I've put one together here with your fuel filter, the coupler, using your Webasto fuel line clamps. Every part's got a stem on it. So all you got to do is take the rubber coupler, slide it on like that, and tighten down your clamps, and that's how you connect all the parts in your fuel system. Kind of a tip: when you're tightening your clamps, make sure the ears touch. That way you know you're totally tight, but be careful. These are tiny screws. You can easily over tighten them and tear the threads right out of the screws. So get them tight until the ears touch, but don't over tighten or you'll mess up the screws. The clamps look like this. These are special clamps. As you can see, this is not a standard type of hose clamp, worm drive clamp that you would get from the auto parts store. These clamps do a better job of providing 360 degrees of pressure all the way around the fuel line, which helps eliminate the possibility of having an air leak and the pump sucking air into the fuel line during operation, or allowing air in and allowing the fuel to bleed back while the heater's not in use. These fuel line clamps are available as a separate part if you need some for some reason. The part number is a 5012000A. So your fuel line clamp, make sure you work these. The worm drive clamps, when you're tightening those guys up, they have a tendency to have two pinch points. So on this side of the worm gear and this side of the worm gear, they can pinch and create leak points there. So these do a better job of providing that even pressure around your fuel line. So that's what those parts look like. Here's our next bag. This has got our fuel filter in there. I just showed you in that example. There's several straight connectors for your fuel parts, a whole bunch of clamps, and here's one of those 90-degree connectors right there. So it's a 90-degree elbow in case you got to go around a tight corner, get around an obstacle. When you're running your fuel line, make sure you keep that away from anything that's hot. It's got fuel in it, so keep it away from your exhaust, keep it away from anything that moves, suspension components, anything like that. Make sure you stay far away. You don't want to rub holes in your fuel line. So our next pack, we've got kind of a conglomeration of different items in this bag. It's not all one system. So we've got some convoluted loom. You can see there's a roll of loom in here. This is protective loom. You're going to use this and put this around the fuel line that's in that other bag. Gives you an extra level of protection against chafing. So install this on your fuel line, then put the fuel line in the vehicle. We've got a handful of wire ties on here, probably, looks like about a dozen wire ties in there. There are several, I don't think I can get a good picture of those. There are several air grates in here, louvers for your ducting. Two louvers, a ducting collar, some clamps for your ducting. These are the clamps that will secure your air ducting to the heater and the air ducting to the louvers that are in here. The mounting bolts for the floor plate we looked at are in this bag. That looks like everything. Our next bag, this is a bag of clamps that are going to go to your exhaust pipe and your combustion intake pipe. So we've got a couple of metal brackets in here that you would use to attach to the bottom of the vehicle and then attach your exhaust pipe or your combustion intake pipe to those clamps. You can hang it securely under the vehicle. Your clamps that would hold the exhaust pipe to the heater, to the port on the bottom of the heater, that one's in here, as well as the one to hold your combustion intake to the bottom of the heater, that guy is in here. And then there's a couple of screws for securing some of the clamps. So bag of hardware for your combustion intake and exhaust tubing. We've got another bag. This bag has got a ducting, there's a Y connector. Try to get a good angle here with the lights, a little hard. But we've got 90 millimeters for your main duct line here, 90 millimeters on the other end, and this part has a branch. You can see the branch Y coming off. This is a reducer branch. This goes down to 60 millimeters. So you got your main 90 millimeter in and out, and then a 60 millimeter branch. The louver in here, there's a louver in this bag also. This is the one you see a lot with the Air Top 2000. This is a 60 millimeter louver, so it's going to run off of this branch if you choose to use it. And then the other main through connector will run with your 90 millimeter primary ducting. There's also hose clamp in this bag to secure. Combustion air inlet. This is our combustion air intake tubing. This is going to connect directly to the bottom of the heater here. Follow the instructions in the installation manual. There's a maximum length on the combined total length of this tube plus the combustion exhaust tube. Make sure that you keep it under that length. You'll be fine with the contents of this kit, but if you add parts in the future, mufflers, silencers, that sort of thing, make sure you keep your total length under the requirements that are in there, as well as bends. There are requirements for how many bends you can put in this tube. All that goes to the combustion fan, how much air the heater can pull through it. Every bend you add into this combustion intake and exhaust tubing adds resistance to flow of the air. One of the reasons it's an issue with these is because the fan motors in these are very small. They're highly efficient. They only draw a couple of amps, but that also means they're not super powerful. They're not able to overcome a lot of resistance because of that efficiency and low amp draw. If this was a 10 amp fan in here, having these bends would not be as much of an issue, but this fan only pulls a couple of amps to run, so you have to be careful how much resistance you add to the airflow, or else you can hinder how much air you're providing for combustion and affect how well the heater works. So it's not that sensitive. Just pay attention to what's in the manual and you'll be fine. So that's our combustion intake. Again, the combustion intake's 25 millimeters. This is our combustion exhaust. It's again about 1 meter of tubing. Our combustion exhaust is 24 millimeters in diameter. So they are two different diameters. You did hear me right. Stainless steel construction. This thing gets hot just like the muffler coming out of the engine on your car. So make sure you keep this away from anything that's sensitive to heat. Keep it away from the fuel lines that are coming to the heater. Keep it away from any fuel lines in the vehicle, brake lines, wiring, keep this away. Make sure you have plenty of clearance. So that's our combustion exhaust. Comes with a nice end cap on it. Also very flexible. And then the last items we're going to pull out of here, I save these for last because they're just so big and bulky. This is the cabin ducting that comes with the heater. It's about 1 meter. It's actually 2 pieces. This is your main 90mm ducting, and then they've got a smaller piece of the 60mm that will connect to that branch that I showed you on that Y connector. So you've got a piece of 60mm air ducting for your cabin air, and a piece of 90mm ducting for your cabin air. So you can see the difference in size on those outlets. Again, the 60mm is common for the Air Top 2000. This is the 90mm that's on the EVO 40. So it moves a lot more air, twice the heating output. It is a more expensive heater, but you know, it's adequate for just about anything you're going to put it in. Larger cargo trailers, some folks doing trailer conversions. If you've got temperature sensitive cargo that you're trying to keep from freezing overnight, use one of these. They're good for a pretty decent sized space. And that pretty much does it, folks. So that's the overview of the Webasto Air Top EVO 40 12-volt gasoline air heater kit. Again, 4 kilowatt rated. We'd really like you to consider giving us a like and subscribe to our page. We appreciate all the phone calls and the emails that you folks have been sending, and really trying to do a good job to make sure that we can provide everybody with some good technical support and answer any questions that you have. You can see all of this stuff on our website, www.vmacs.net. Give us a call if you don't find what you need there. If you have a question in general, 757-650-0957. We're open 8 o'clock to 4:30 Eastern time. Hope everybody has a great day.